What's up, it's Nez, and welcome back to the letter, everyone. Last episode, we finished up Zach's chapter, and now we're here with Marianne's. And apparently, we brought Luke back to our condo? Fucking gross. The best thing about having my condo so close to the pub is the ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I'd need help from a kind neighbor or two to help me with the last leg if I've really gone overboard on alcohol. But I always made it home. Sometimes with company. Of course, that always comes with complications, especially the real clingy ones. But it isn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And the first few minutes when we enter the room are the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic. Oh god, please don't tell me that we brought Luke back. Okay, Max, so far so good. Don't let him smell your fear under all that liquid courage. He'll leave sooner or later and I'll never have to see him again, just like every other man before him. I'd like to say to myself that the men I've brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yet there is no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness is to be expected. Oh god, this is so gross. And as long as he sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We'll have our little tumble in the sheets, he'll leave, we'll forget about it. Something tells me the story won't let you forget about it. If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told them that I wanted a bed of roses, chocolate and music, maybe an Irish castle. But all I really want is her, and that's never going to be a reality. The girl beside you on that painting in the back. That was my fault, of course. Because I was afraid. Because I was a coward. They would never hold a candle up to her. She was the light of my life. And I had to let her go. I can't even be bothered at the thought of her. Just a single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through waver.
Wait.
What is it now?
Yes, what is it now? What's it gonna be, Marianne? To sex or to not to sex? This is wrong? Nothing, never mind. Yeah, no, this is fucking wrong.
We're both drunk.
And?
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged. But I won't stop you. And this isn't going to happen.
I'm sorry, everyone, but NETORARE isn't on my kink list.
Bloody hell.
Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress. But no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair, before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. All I got are cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm though, no dandelion. Without a second thought, I do wet the tea. That's 3 minutes to get the kettle to boil. 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I mean, what do you even say to the guy I was going to sleep with until I changed my mind? Get out? I doubt he's in the mood to talk about the influence of the Troys on Mallory. It's still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. Oh, this whole world is a cesspool.
The dead air is telling me when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to burst, to spill about whatever issues that made us the fucked up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulder. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know we'll ever see each other again. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. When I wake, Whiskey's already gone. A bottle of painkillers and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. Thanks for the tea, Marianne, Whiskey. I don't even question where these are from or just how he knew my real name. I'm just grateful for something to help with hangover. Might as well. I have a job to do. And this is when we meet Luke, right? It isn't often that I think about drinking on a job. But after meeting the Wrights yesterday really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Ah yes, you just met them. Because first off, fucking damn Whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. What? What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other small projects, this is a big job and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I'd have a headache whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing to a pub. I have to go there anyway, I need more books for Dad. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxembourg to hopefully cool off. After returning an Ursuli and a poetry book by Henry Poet Brady, I asked the librarian about several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I ask about The Siege and Rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pezulia. If you count her snaring and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except myself and a redhead, though I'd wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spotted.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's not the naval battle book I was looking for, no, it's better. The newly acquired History of Luxembourg Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on this book for so long. The fact that there's only one copy proves to be a problem though, when Red reaches out for it at the same time I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
Hello, Rebecca. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Wrecked.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if I could call it that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we had forgotten about our little tug-of-war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, Saint Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure, but It's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
We're working on a haunted mansion.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Inta. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at the mention of the house. I'm not surprised, that place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she is about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within a year, when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch in my opinion, not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens, they're evil things that make typing what would have been a simple task harder.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisles she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Well, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far, I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to the history of Luxembourg architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put my hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it, but you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass without any of us realizing it. It was fun and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to read here and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Assholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. It seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time, as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Wait a minute, is Rose still alive at this time?
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything, but I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there's so many red tape to even acquire the forms in the transferring of the rights? No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been what? A day? Less than that even. There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis's sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Luxbourne branch isn't too far off from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do when we get our hands on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of that place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do despite how it's frowned upon. There will be a lot of hidden issues that I need to weed out, and I need to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on the top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to the BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already, if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's Saturday, the people probably feel tired and lazy working on the weekend. But they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette hours. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There are a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Periscopa Projects, during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Oh god. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door looking as if she's just seen one. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Oh no, wait. This happens after they had lunch with Rebecca.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads away towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thingy during work hours too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between those empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would like to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident with the trouble in ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think of what repairs they did to that place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. I think that's the least of our problems. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nest there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of the place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. It might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things off, I'll have to.
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous, and even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? You have something to say? I don't have time for this. Let's see what she says. I give her time to speak up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt it then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous and unsure of herself. Although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she introduced herself the way she is at the moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she could still be in college. Acts a bit like it too when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property. I don't even know what to make of that whole meltdown that happened with that strange document. If I were that client, I would have been very upset. She'd be in hot water for it.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
What the fuck? Why are the claws out? Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheek and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath, I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there. And it makes one wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable if her reason is what I think it is, very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took on the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place. And the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about.
That is harsh to say, but it is the truth.
If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave as she has said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps to defend herself and her choices in life. Or she is expecting me to dish out more of that advice. It's an awkward affair and I choose to hightail out of the realty office as quick as I can. Though I'm able to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And seeing that most of my day has already gone by before I realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead, despite today being Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. And that was today's episode of The Letter, everyone. It seems that Marianne is finally weaving herself into the larger picture. For more episodes of The Letter, like and subscribe so we could grow our channel together. Once again, my name is Nez and thanks for watching. Bye everyone!